And we're live. Welcome back in, guys, to episode number 5 of Lowell Talks. More of a discussion today in regards to kind of what I've been up to and some cool experiences I had with shooting with a couple of new items I've actually never gotten my hands on, coming up in episode number 5 of Lowell Talks. So recently I have been diving into several different projects, but the one I want to focus in on today is I was out in Colorado working with a couple of my buddies in a production company that we all work for, shooting a mini documentary, and we got to get our hands on some Sony FS7s, we got some Canon cinema glass, and also got some experience with shooting with the Mavic Pro 2 Hasselblad version that is able to shoot 10-bit and also have a couple of different controls that I'm not used to with my Mavic Pro. Now, one thing I kind of want to dive into when it came to the camera work and the drone flying in the glass is that I was extremely enthusiastic and excited about this project, really to get my hands on this stuff and also be able to kind of put myself in an environment where we were able to kind of take what we normally do to the next level, that being lighting, that being shooting, how we're shooting, and things like that. So over a 4-day period, we shot about 15 different interviews with participants for this project, and then we spent a vast majority of time also shooting as much B-roll as we possibly could to drive the narrative of the story. Now, getting our hands on the FS7 and the cinema glass from Canon was absolutely awesome. We're actually shooting with the Canon 14mm Cine glass. I think that's shot at a T3.1. We also had the 50mm Canon glass that I want to say went down to like a T1.3 or 1.5, and then we also had the 85mm Canon cinema glass that I want to say as well went down to 1.2. And the reason that I bring this up is typically I don't get my hands on that premium of glass. And so, in a nutshell, I kind of shoot with the Rokinon, and then I shoot with the traditional glass that most people on YouTube and things like that are actually using. So to get my hands on some cinema glass was extremely exciting. And I'll tell you this, the one thing I will say is for some glass that probably is in the ballpark range of like $25,000, it looks amazing. It's so smooth. It's huge. You look pro. It just, whatever camera you're using, if you're going to put that glass on, it's just going to boom immediately. It's like steroids. It's just going to look amazing. So that was one thing that was extremely exciting when shooting, is that anytime we got the footage out of cameras and then we put it in our Final Cut or we put it in Adobe, it was just, oh man, that looks so great. Now that is comparing to my current situation of shooting with maybe the Rokinon or maybe even the Rokinon Cine series, but side by side, that Canon versus the Rokinon, there is definitely a difference. Now there's a difference in price, and that leads me to deeper into discussion. Would I actually spend the money to buy that Cine glass coming in at like $20,000 or $30,000, or would I stick to the Rokinon? The harsh reality is I'm a cheap guy and I would go with the Rokinon. Honestly, because at a certain point, I think most people are not going to be able to tell, and a lot of people are consuming on phones rather than on the big screen. Now, if you're getting funded for this project, which we were, and it's going to most likely be either on a Netflix or you're going to be submitting it to film festivals. Now, in that situation, I do have to admit it is totally worth spending the money to put yourself in a situation where it's just going to be the cream of the crop and the best possible footage that you could get. But if you're just a day-to-day shooter, you're a YouTuber, maybe you're doing this, making a little bit of money, but you know you're not trying to go for blockbuster hits, then you're probably going to be sitting in a great situation with the Rokinon or the Sony glass or Lumix glass, pretty much any generic glass that's out there these days. So now, after getting some hands-on experience with the glass and that topic kind of being kicked to the side, the overall result was it was absolutely amazing to be able to shoot with that kind of Cine glass. Was a little bit hard to pull focus in walk and talk situations or in situations where you're kind of moving around, absolutely, but the overall just look was unbelievable. Now, that being said, as we jump into kind of the cameras that we were shooting with two Canon A7S2s, and we were also shooting with a Sony FS7 Super 35mm camera. the actual version 1, so it's got the ND filters built in, not digitally, but you actually turn a little knob for them. And I absolutely love that camera. I sometimes am a hater in regards to it, but when I get my hands on it and we get to use it, it looks absolutely amazing. And you know, it's an all-in-one package, and I've got to applaud anybody that either owns it or is looking in that direction. It is a great camera. Now, memory cards and things of that nature start to get a little wishy-washy and expensive when you enter that category, but you are getting a cream of the crop product, and overall I think it puts you in a situation where it's very cine, it's very kind of TV-esque, or what you're going to see at the premium level video. Now, that being said, we also then got the ability to fly the new Mavic Pro 2 with the Hasselblad kind of 10-bit or whatever it is you can shoot and log. And I'll be honest with you, I literally had it up and running within maybe about 20 minutes, and that is getting on there, registering, getting everything set up. I was a complete knucklehead in the beginning, forgot to turn off the beginner mode, so I was a little bit limited, but figured that out pretty quick, changed it within the app, and that bad boy flew forever. I think I was actually able to get it up to about 1,400 feet away. Now, taking consideration, I was actually shooting this out in like cornfields in the middle of Nowhereville, so I kind of had the ability to just go with it and let it fly. That being said, super smooth. The autofocus was great. From what I can tell so far, the footage does look amazing. If you're wondering why I even came and talked about these different things that I was recently experimenting with, honestly, it was just because I was super excited to be out there shooting in Colorado with this gang of guys and shooting with the technology and really just putting ourselves in an environment where on a day-to-day we create fantastic products, but we went out there with the full intention of really knocking it out of the park, taking what we normally do and advancing it to the next level, and implementing the practices that we've been using over the past few years, taking all that knowledge that each of us are bringing to the table and performing in this particular environment. A 4-day aggressive shoot of 4 guys going in there, telling stories, pulling out stories, and really just kicking ass and taking names. And I'll be honest with you, it's those kind of trips and things like that that really get me amped up. It's YouTube, it's trips like that, it's telling stories, it's honestly working with others that are creatives and really just taking different people's talents, different people's skills, bringing them together and saying, let's just execute. And that's exactly what we did out in Colorado. And hey guys, it's Trey Lowell with Lowell Productions and Lowell Talks, episode number 5. I apologize for more of the storytelling this time, but it was something that was on my chest, and it was something that I've been thinking about and very proud of. So if you're interested in cameras, entrepreneurs, podcasts, talking a bunch of hoopla, stay tuned for episode 6 of Lowell Talks.